Thank you again to the musicians from Pyramid Studios Electric Company. Yay. All right, we're ready to get started with our rally. I'm Valerie Breen, Executive Director of the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to Developmental Disabilities and Transportation Awareness Day here at the Capitol. We are so pleased to see this wonderful turnout here today. Every year during the legislative session, hundreds of Floridians concerned about quality care, essential funding, and the availability of transportation for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as those who are transportation disadvantaged, gather here at the state capitol to make our collective voices heard by those who make state policy and control our funding. The organizers of this special day, which is the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council, the ARC of Florida, the Florida Public Transportation Association, and the Florida Commission for Transportation Disadvantage, could not be happier to see all of you here. Before we begin our rally, I would like all of us to stand and rise for our national anthem. Can you see by the dawn's early light, so at the twilight's last gleam, whose bright stripes and all right, you can all be seated. Thank you. Thank you all. It is now my great pleasure to call on our partner, Kirk Hall, CEO of the ARC of Florida, for a very special introduction. Kirk?
Woo-hoo indeed, yes. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the speaker who will open our rally today. And this rally, of course, for Developmental Disability and Transportation Awareness Day. Give yourself a hand for coming out to this beautiful event. This person was awarded the 2019 ARC Champions Award for support of people with developmental disabilities throughout Florida. And you say 2019, but this is not just for 2019, because he has committed to providing service and support not just this year and not just last year, but throughout his entire life. A champion is defined as one who soundly defeats his opponent. A representative does that during election, but that's not what this is about. A champion is also somebody who speaks on behalf of a cause. And we're here and grateful that he does speak on behalf of our cause and that he does it in such an effective way. That is what we do, and that is what we need to do in fighting for each and every one of you. So please put your hands together and recognize our speaker who's going to open remarks for our rally, Representative Ray Rodriguez.
Good morning. Before we begin, how about the band? Let's give it up for the band. First, I want to welcome you to the Capitol. It is my distinct honor to stand here today and welcome you for Legislative Awareness Day for Developmental Disabilities and Transportation Awareness. What I would share with you is this. Some of you know this, many of you do not. My wife and I have a son with a developmental disability. And as parents, we learn very quickly that the world really falls into two categories. those who see the disability and those who saw our child. And it's been our goal as parents to work as hard as we could so that the world would see our child and not the disability. And as a legislator and a policymaker, it's been my goal to pursue policies that would empower all parents to be in that position and all children to be seen for who they are and not for what they can or cannot do. And what I can share with you is this. I'm in my last session in the House of Representatives. I am a member of the leadership team. And I can tell you that the leadership of the House of Representatives, and I feel comfortable saying this for the Senate as well, because I've had conversations with individual members there, we have a true and fervent belief that every life has meaning, that everyone has a purpose, and that our job as policymakers is to help you reach your potential. And so you're here in week 5. Tomorrow, about 24 hours from now, will actually be the halfway point of the 2020 legislative session. Somebody just lost their speech. It's not mine, so don't worry. Tomorrow, we're going to hit the halfway point of the legislative session. My commitment to you is that as we hit this home stretch for this legislative session, you are going to have champions in the legislative process who are fighting for you and will fight for you until day 60. And really, that's all I can say. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Valerie, for that fine introduction. It's here on the paper. No. So, for over 60 years, the ARCs of Florida have engaged in the finest delivery of service, support, and advocacy for people with developmental disabilities. Along with our many partners throughout Florida, some of whom are going to speak here with you today, ARCs are united in advancing your rights to live and engage in the community in the manner that you choose to do so. ARCs are at the forefront of advocating for the wage that individuals who are providing service, direct service to you, need in order to be able to afford to follow that passion. Because it is a passion when you commit yourself to providing service. And we know that that connection that you have with the individuals delivering those services is meaningful and oftentimes lasts an entire lifetime. What we want to see is that people are financially able to do that and provide the services on which you rely, instead of having to choose an occupation where they serve you a Coke or a fry. Yes, it's sad that some people have to choose to work in a fast food service industry as opposed to being able to follow that passion and provide service that we rely on. We can do better. We must do better. And that's something that we all need to voice. And today is the right day to do that as you're here at the rally. If you have the opportunity to see your representatives, thank them, but also let them know how important this is. ARCs also support the finding in APD's iBudget redesign that found that the iBudget waiver is the single best, most cost-effective way to deliver services. We know that. We know that alternatives of a one-size-fit-all systems, they just don't work. They don't work for people who need ongoing, changing services and support that often last a lifetime. And that's what we're talking about here, a lifetime of service. Given the overwhelming needs that we see, the state of Florida must look for ways to put dollars into direct service. And ARC's here to provide some of that voice, but we can't do it without each and every one of you. And are you ready to advocate? I don't know if I can hear anything now. That's great. Absolutely. So we also support the governor and the Senate's position that housing funds need to be made available for affordable housing. Do we need to be able to support ourselves and still be able to afford a safe and secure place to live? Yes. On the top floor? Yes. Everyone knows that there's a shortage of affordable housing nationwide. It's not just in the state of Florida, but it's also in the state of Florida. We know that we need affordable housing. We know that we need to be able to have that need met. And we must act to make sure that we have those essential living needs. And accessible. Shout out to the audience. I love the participation. Accessible and affordable housing. And I will say with that, they have a provision in the law for special needs, which means that whatever funds go to that, a portion of those are made for individuals with disabilities. And we can all agree that that's something we want to see more of. We're also working for the children. What? The children? We applaud the efforts of our senators and our representatives who are looking to the seclusion and restraint law in our education system. It emphasizes training on positive behavioral supports. And I know that I want to live in a world where you're rewarding an individual in a positive way, embracing them with kindness as opposed to punishing them. We need to have more of that in the world. Can everybody just hug one another? No. That is a fantastic feel-good movement. And I will say for education, it needs to be appropriate. Like our campaign to end the R word, we're working to end discrimination in all of its forms. The anti-discrimination in organ transplant is a bill, and it's the next step in a process to stamp down discrimination wherever we find it. And it's an ongoing battle because there are no end to ways that people are biased and people act out against us. This bill will help end decades-long practices in the medical field of denying life-saving, and I can't stress that enough, life-saving treatment. It needs to be equitable, it needs to be fair, and we need to make sure that our rights are maintained as part of that process, right? So just the last few words. We need to be seen. The census is coming. So make yourself seen, make yourself counted, make sure the funds come to your communities. We need to be heard. Register to vote. If you're already registered, vote. We're working closely with champions like Representative Rodriguez, Senate President Galvano, Senators Bean and Pasadomo, Representative Cummings, and so many others to bring needed change. The Arts of Florida and all our partners stand with you. Shoulder to shoulder and heel to wheel. Together we will be seen, together we will be heard, and together we will succeed. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Kirk, Jessica, I have to say, with that speech, you didn't need an introduction. Thank you so much. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to recognize a remarkable self-advocate and winner of our 11th annual Idelio Valdez Leadership and Advocacy Award, Miss Danielle McGill. Danielle, just keep standing for a minute. I know she's short, but she's over there. Just because you're short doesn't mean you can be a really good advocate. Last night, Broward County Representative Evan Jenny recognized Danielle with the Florida Development, who has helped develop partnerships that facilitate community integration, employment, and inclusion for people with developmental disabilities. Danielle, who currently serves as the advocacy coordinator of the Ann Stork Center, was selected to receive this prestigious award for her efforts in promoting disability awareness through community and exemplary personal achievements, which include serving on local, state, and national councils and implementing programs to raise awareness about the value and importance of inclusion and services for all. I hope you will all join me in applauding Danielle McGill for her amazing work in earning the great recognition of our 2020 Idelio Valdez Leadership and Advocacy Award. All right, moving our program along. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Susan Cabot. Dr. Cabot is the current chair of the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council at Nova Southeastern University, where she has developed and administered programs for children and young adults for over 34 years. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Susan Cabot. Rick will protect you.
Oh, thank you, Valerie. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be working with you, with the council staff, and all of the members of the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council. It's incredible to think that just 21 years ago, the Supreme Court passed the landmark Olmstead decision for over 35,000 Floridians and their families, and a possibility for the other 21,000 on the waiting list. My son Michael, born with significant behavioral and cognitive disabilities, was 19 years old when the Olmstead decision was passed. As a mother and a professional in the field of autism and developmental disabilities, I worked diligently to keep Michael at home and provide the supports that he needed. Not only did Michael languish on the iBudget waiting list, but what we learned was that there was a lack of recognition that developmental disabilities and mental health issues could occur in the same person. After being turned down for crisis consideration multiple times, our only choice to keep Michael safe was to move him into a Medicaid-funded intermediate care facility. At 39 years old now, Michael is managing to have a fulfilling life. Thank you. It was hard work. As chair of the council and as executive director of Nova Southeastern University's Autism Institute, I have met and worked with countless families and self-advocates who, as resilient as they are, need the help of professionals and consistent funding through the iBudget waiver to provide the best possible safe, healthy, and productive environment, whether living on their own, in their family home, in a group home, or otherwise in the community. It's essential that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the opportunity to stay included in their communities and not be forced into institutions or more restrictive, expensive programs. We are grateful to Senator Aaron Bean of Fernandina Beach for taking the lead in trying to find a solution to the I-budget crisis. With all of our help, support, and communicating with our legislators, we can make great progress this year. To help inform our supporters and our legislators about this urgent and essential issue, the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council created the Save the I-Budget Waiver campaign. There are 4 points that we want our legislators and other elected officials to know. 1, we support yearly increases in the use of the I-Budget waiver that match the need for additional services under this funding. By better understanding the needs of those receiving the waiver, future costs can be better planned. 2, we support taking 10% of people off the I-Budget waitlist each year. The yearly budget for the waiver should include a regular reduction of the I-Budget waitlist. Yeah. 3, we support increasing provider rates for all I-Budget personal support services. There you go. This will increase the availability of providers and improve job stability for care workers. And 4th, we do not support the use of for-profit managed care organizations for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Predictability and sustainability of the I-Budget waiver and our elected officials' ongoing commitment to fund the I-Budget is critical for thousands of individuals and their families. Help your elected officials understand in a positive way why the services you receive are your lifeline to survive and thrive at home and in your community. On behalf of the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council and our partners, way over here.
Thank you so much, Sue. You know, this morning we were in some meetings, and I don't want to take the thunder away from Senator Bean and Director Palmer. They're in meetings right now, but there were 2 things we walked away with, and that is Senate Bill 82. Senate Bill 82. And the Senate has worked incredibly hard. We talk about it as the dream budget. It has everything in it that our population needs, and now we need the House to adopt it. So those are your messages. Okay, that's the last of my little soapbox. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Allison Flanagan, Director of Vocational Rehabilitation, who's really in charge of employment. Allison.
But I'm going to tell you that your story is the one that matters. I can talk to legislators all day. Your story about how employment impacts you, about how transportation impacts your ability to go to work, how housing is an issue for you, healthcare services. Your story is what needs to be told today to these legislators. They need to hear it from you. The Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, we're here to help people with disabilities go to work. How many here want to work? We do this with over 350 providers across the state working with us, along with all of our partner agencies that you're hearing from today. Without their help, we couldn't be successful. And just this last year, we closed 24% increase into successful competitive integrated employment. And we're going to continue to make those great strides because it's important for you to be an equal part of your community. And living in the community and working and spending your money on movies and food and whatever you want to do, but you need to have that right just like anybody else. So I'm glad to be here today, and Vocational Rehabilitation is very glad to support this day. Go advocate, folks.
Thank you, Rick Oppenheim, for saving our lives. We appreciate it. All right, thank you so much, Allison. Now we're going to shift from our subject of developmental disability awareness to transportation awareness, okay? It gives me great pleasure to introduce our good friend and partner, Lisa Bacot, Executive Director of the Florida Public Transportation Association.
Morning, everybody. Woo! Hey, thank you all for being here today. I cannot thank you much. This is so important for you guys to be here, to show all the great things that you guys do and all the things you want to do, because you can get transportation and you can go to facilities that help provide services to you. So I do want to thank you so much for being here. Please make sure you talk to your legislators. That's one of the main reasons you're here. And I know I've heard you guys already had a lot of appointments today, so thank you for doing that. Again, my name is Lisa Bacot. I'm with the Florida Public Transportation Association, and I work with all the different transit agencies around the state. We have some vehicles that have come up here. You're welcome to walk through them or go talk to the folks that own those vehicles. We provide millions of trips across the state of Florida, and we just thank you so much for your support and for being here. I get to introduce my chair of the Florida Public Transportation Association. Her name is Mariah Deacle, and she is the Transit Director with the St. Lucie County Board of County Commissioners. So please welcome Mariah.
Partnerships that provide insight to creating better communities. That's what we do. Public transportation is a critical component to economic development. In Florida alone, our fixed route system provides over 217 million trips across the state, while our transportation disadvantage programs provide another 21 million door-to-door trips. This means thousands of cars are off our roads, which reduces carbon emissions to help keep Florida clean and less congested. There are many benefits to using public transportation, such as building a stronger economy, reducing our dependence on foreign oil, offering mobility in small urban and rural areas, and providing access for people of all ages to help keep them safe and mobile. A major trend that we're seeing in Florida and the rest of the nation is that our transit systems are reaching out to private entities to assist with the operations of their services. This helps to provide better access to bus or rail systems. And technological advances have enabled transit systems to expand services to deliver better access. Many of our systems in Florida are already using on-demand private-public partnerships with transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft. Other agencies are experimenting with automated transit technologies. These out-of-the-box solutions are helping our transit systems remain on the cutting edge of technology and providing riders with innovative solutions. Public transportation plays a significant role in the health of our local economies, and many of our riders that use public transportation do not have the resources to purchase transportation of their own, and which is essential to keeping these individuals independent and maintaining a high quality of life. David is the Executive Director of the Florida Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged. He has served on a variety of boards, including the Governor's Commission on Disabilities, the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology, and is currently an ex officio member of the Florida Public Transportation Association. Please welcome David Darm.
Thanks, Mariah. How's everybody doing this morning? I had a speech, but my guide dog Ranger ate it. Is that an excuse that I could use? It's such an honor to be here today, and you've heard a lot of people speak, and the reason why you have so many different voices here is because it takes a collective effort to make people have opportunities to have accessible transportation and be independent in their community. I'm very proud to be here as a spokesperson for people with disabilities. I too am visually impaired, which is one of the benefits of public speaking because I can't see facial expressions. So if I bore people, I can just keep on going. Thank you, thank you. I am very, very proud to, as Representative Rodriguez mentioned earlier, that I had individuals in my life that helped be a voice for me. And even though I was growing up with another side of getting a voice, hearing words, labels like blind, handicapped, disabled, those voices were drowned out by the louder, more powerful voices of my family and my loved ones who told me that I could do pretty much anything as long as I wasn't going to be a NASCAR driver. Today, I'm so proud to be up here because I am, as a person with a disability, am able to do all the things that everybody else can do in life. I have a job. I own a home. I ran a half marathon, okay? You can get still credit for running half of it. And all of that is because I had people in my life that believed that I could do it and persevere through the barriers. But also importantly is that I have mobility, that I have the ability to get around in my community. Unfortunately, that is not the truth for a lot of the people that we represent today, is that there's still many people who have barriers to being able to enjoy the same things that I have. And so for today is a very special day, is for us to be a voice for those individuals who cannot speak today. And so just as the other speakers have mentioned, we encourage you to share your stories, whether you are a person with a disability or your loved one has a disability, to speak on their behalf. It's not going to be just me to be able to carry that mantle. It takes a collective. We are so blessed to live in a state with leaders that have a true passion for representing people with disabilities or those who cannot drive themselves. We have a dedicated program, the Transportation Disadvantage Program, that's been around for 40 years now to ensure that there are transportation services across the state and not just in one area of the state. But we still have a long way to go. And so I encourage all of us to be unified and trying to advocate and be a voice for those that we represent, and continue to represent and show the challenges that they have to overcome to be independent and enjoy the same things that I can say today I can enjoy as a person with a disability. One last closing remark is that I'm really excited to be a leader in the state of Florida in this new decade that we are entering. A lot is going to be happening with innovation and technology, and the system is going to see a lot of changes. But even though we expect these changes to happen, we still anchor ourselves to the values that we were created to support, which is access, that people can still, 10 years from now, we still represent people who want to go to work, that they want to be able to get health care, and they want to be a contributing member of their community. So with that, thank you all for being here and being a voice for those who are transportation disadvantaged.
Thank you, David. All right, guys, we're getting close to getting a free lunch, so that's exciting. Woo! I wanted to take just a minute here to thank our event sponsors, along with the Florida Public Transportation Association and the Developmental Disabilities Council and the ARC of Florida and the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged. We also have folks all over the state that donated for today. We have the Florida Association of Coordinated Transportation Systems, Big Bend Transit, J-Trans, RATP Dev, Levy County Transit, Senior Resource Association, Abilitrax, Angel Trax, Goodwills, City of Tallahassee, Joanne Hutchinson, American Cancer Society, Swanee Valley Transit Authority, Motor Coach Industries, and our Voices Together, the Florida Coalition. So please give a round of applause for all of our sponsors. They are a big part of why we can do this today. Okay, so if you haven't already, make sure after you eat lunch, you go to the second floor to check out our exhibitors. We have a lot of folks up there that want to talk to you, and they have free stuff to hand out up there. Obviously, visit your legislators. And now it is time to serve lunch, but we have a special guest that's going to come up here and lead us over to the lunch area. So Coca-Cola Polar Bear, can you please come up? And while the polar bear is coming up here, I did want to tell you that in about 20 minutes, We have some other special guest speakers that are going to be here. So if you get your lunch, please make your way back to your seats. We have the Executive Director of the Agencies for Persons with Disabilities, and then also the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. So those are two very important people that you'll definitely want to hear them speak, but they're going to be here in about 20 to 25 minutes. But first, here is the Coca-Cola Polar Bear. And Coca-Cola has donated generously their time and their products. So after you pick up your box lunch, you can go get a free beverage from the Coca-Cola stand. So you want to just walk through here and lead us over to lunch if everyone wants to go. Have a great day, everybody.
Disabilities Director Barbara Palmer.
Thank you, everyone. Are you having a good time? Have you talked with your legislators? If you haven't, you need to, because they need to know about your life. That's the most important thing you can do, is go tell them about your life and what your needs are, because this is all about you. It's about your future. So you're up here to make a difference. Be sure you go talk with your legislators. I want to thank Patricia Oglesby with the Florida Family Care Council, Valerie Breen, and all the other associations. But I mainly want to thank you all for taking the time to come up here and to talk with your legislators and educate them about your lives. I cannot tell you how important that is. The governor has put together a really good budget and also is supporting you all moving forward, making things better in your life. So, how many of you are going to go see your legislators? Raise your hand. You're going to tell them about what you need, right? And to be sure and fund it the way the governor has recommended, and for you guys to get the funding you need to get the services that you need. Is that right? Okay. I want to know how many of you, raise your hand if you've already been to the legislature. Let's see. Look at that. A whole bunch of you. Okay, well, you need to go again. Be sure you go to both the House side and the Senate side, because they're different and they need to hear from you. How many of you came more than 50 miles? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of you came more than 100 miles? Oh. How many of you came more than 500 miles? Oh, nobody from Miami, huh? No Miamians here. Okay, well, I just wanted to, anybody have any questions? You want to ask me anything? We work really hard in this agency to make sure you get the services that you need. And I know that Patricia, who's sitting right over here, the Family Care Council, if you all don't know about them, they work so hard constantly for you. Any questions? Anybody want to ask me anything? You have an opportunity? Yes, ma'am. No, nobody's trying to take your rights away, but they do need to understand what your needs are. And that's what's important, because every single person is different. And every single one of you has different things that you need in order to be self-sufficient, in order to be able to live a good life. And that's what this is all about, you being able to live a good life. She's talking about transportation. You know, you want to ask the question? She wanted to know when there'll be transportation to take a bus to church on Sunday. The truth of the matter is, Transportation is an issue that we're all faced with, not just for people with developmental disabilities, but with the elderly, with anyone that does not have their own mode of transportation. It's a big issue, and that's something you need to talk with your legislators about as well. Tell them your needs in the transportation business. Okay? From Tampa Bay area. Right. Well, transportation is a big issue. There's no question about it. Well, Transportation Disadvantaged is the agency that works on that. So, Patricia wants to talk with you.
Hi, Director Palmer. Thank you so much. And I'm going to lead transportation to the two of you. But I wanted to say welcome, everyone here today. We thank you so much for coming. It means so much to each and every person who's a self-advocate, to each and every person who's a parent like myself who has a son with the special needs. And we wanted to say one thing so proudly and loudly. If you have a sign in your hand, this is what we wanted to say today to Director Palmer and to the agencies for persons with disability. We thank you for all that you do for us. We thank you for fighting for us. We know that you go to the bat for us as much as we go to bat for ourselves. And we want APD to know. Come on, let's give them a hand. We want them to know how much we appreciate that. My son is on the wait list, but that's okay because one day he's going to be on the waiver. And so some of you don't even have a loved one here with a disability, but you still come and you fight. And so we are here today as loved ones who want to say to our legislators, walk a mile in our shoes. We don't have to say that to Representative Rodriguez because he has his own shoes that he's walking in, so he knows what we're dealing with. But I want you to say with me, walk a mile in my shoes. Let me hear you. So my waiver support coordinator won't leave and go to Walmart. What are you going to say to your legislators? Walk a mile in my shoes so that your parents will be able to have the funding that they need when there's a crisis and it takes extra money and you need that. You want the legislators to know that they need to what? Walk a mile in your shoes so that they can know what it takes to fund everything that we need in order so that our families can live a positive, a successful, and healthy and safe life. Walk a mile in my shoes, and thank you, DD Council and APD.
Last special guest speaker, Kevin Tebow was named the Secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation by Governor Ron DeSantis on January 18, 2019. Since that time, Secretary Tebow has focused the agency on implementing several initiatives centered on improving safety, enhancing mobility, and inspiring innovation. Secretary Tebow spent half of his professional career in the private sector, providing transportation engineering services for states like Florida, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, Indiana, Kentucky, California, and Virginia. And for over 16 years, he served in various roles within the FDOT, from project management to executive leadership, and is consistently focused on the importance of partnerships to deliver the transportation needs of the state. I'm very proud to introduce Secretary Tebow, who is an amazing partner to the transit industry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me here today. Again, transportation is a key component to an individual's independence, safety, and overall quality of life. And so when we can be a partner with those in the different industries to help provide those transportation needs, we want to do that. And it's important that we continue to have those relationships with our individuals with disabilities and with transportation services. And those things cannot be ignored because those with disabilities are much more reliant on others to help transport them to daily activities. We have over 217 million trips to citizens and visitors to our states and throughout the state in our fixed transportation systems. And the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged provides another 21 million trips to individuals who cannot obtain their own transportation due to disability, age, or income. Our transit systems are also looking outside of the traditional demand service program to get individuals to their destinations and where they need to go. And many of our programs are reaching out to those TNCs, those transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft, and some are even piloting automated vehicle technology to expand the types of services that riders have available to them. We need to continue to look for viable, innovative solutions that allow individuals to remain independent and have access to services. Reliable transportation keeps individuals in their home and safely transported to the places they need to go. I applaud the Florida Public Transportation Association and the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantaged for their continued commitment to providing mobility options and solutions to those in our state who need it the most. These partnerships are key to making sure everyone has access to transportation. Thank you for the opportunity to have me here today, and enjoy your afternoon in beautiful Tallahassee. Thank you.